Amid the intense spotlight following Marc Márquez's sensational victory at the Mugello Grand Prix, Jorge Lorenzo, one of MotoGP's legends, made a surprising confession. Lorenzo, Marquez's former fierce rival, openly acknowledged the champion's ability to handle pressure and silence critics, especially at the circuit known as Rossi's home. What exactly impressed Lorenzo about Marquez's performance at Mugello this time? Let's discuss. The Italian Mugello Grand Prix will go down in MotoGP history as the day Marc Márquez not only won, but also silenced all the doubters at the most symbolic place, Mugello, Ducati's headquarters, the home of legend Valentino Rossi, and the holy land of the Tifosi. Despite the scorching track temperature and heavy pressure, Marquez transformed the high-pressure stage into a stage of glory, taking home the 93rd victory of his career. But this was more than just a victory. It was proof that the maestro from Cervera is still in his prime. Starting from pole position, Marquez immediately faced pressure from his tough rivals, the aggressive Francesco Bagnaia, the increasingly mature Alex Marquez, and the surprising Fabio Di Giannantonio of the VR46 team. From the first corner, the battle was fierce. Bagnaia seized the lead. Alex slipped through a narrow gap, and the three riders exchanged positions in the early laps. But amidst the chaos, Marquez remained calm. "I decided to be patient at the beginning. After 7 or 8 laps, I started to use the speed I had in practice," Marquez said after the race. When the time came, he attacked, sharp, precise, and unforgiving. On the 9th lap, the sibling duel between Marc and Alex peaked. As fate would have it, the older brother took over. Since then, no one has been able to stop him. Marquez rode untouched to the finish line. The day before, the sprint race on Saturday marked the beginning of Marquez's dominance. Although he was overtaken by Bagnaia and Alex, Marc demonstrated his mature racing strategy once again. He knows when to hold back and when to overtake. Alex was in the lead, with Bagnaia close behind. However, Marc read the race like a chess grandmother. He was one step ahead of all his opponents. The result, 2 wins in 2 days, on the enemy's home turf. The circuit was filled with the yellow of VR46 supporters. It's no wonder praise continues to flow for Marquez. Once known for his aggressiveness, he has transformed into a racer who is not only fast, but also calculating. Jorge Lorenzo, a former fierce rival and 5-time world champion, did not hesitate to acknowledge Marquez's extraordinary transformation since joining Ducati. His racing style has changed, more precise, more intelligent. Now, he is not only fast, he is dangerous on a different level, Lorenzo said, emphasizing that Marquez has reached a level of maturity that only a few elite racers have achieved. Marquez also acknowledged that his current performance was the result of a long process. In a recent interview, he spoke openly about the significant challenges he encountered during his initial season with Ducati. "I've been on the same bike for 10 years. Ducati is different. Its DNA requires feeling from the rear. This year, I learned more and added that spirit to my race management," Marquez said. A simple statement, but full of meaning. Behind those words lies a philosophy. Change is not a sign of weakness, but rather a new strength that reshapes a champion. Given the long-standing tension between Marc Márquez and Valentino Rossi, many expected and perhaps hoped for a heated celebration or sharp quip when Marquez won at Mugello, a circuit known as Rossi's home. The atmosphere of rivalry was thick. The spotlight was on Marquez. Would Marquez rekindle the old flame? But Marquez chose a different direction. "This is my 93rd win, but there's no need to provoke. It's better to talk on the track," he said coolly and calmly. A simple sentence, but full of meaning. No provocative gestures, no theatrical celebrations. As a symbol, he simply lifted the trophy as high as possible, letting his actions on the track speak for themselves. His victory at Mugello amid cheers and pressure was conveyed in the most elegant way possible. Absolute, flawless dominance without saying much. Amidst the hustle and bustle of competition and the intense media attention that accompanies the MotoGP world, a heartwarming story has emerged from the Ducati Gresini paddock, the close relationship between brothers Marc and Alex Marquez. Unlike most riders, who keep their data and strategies closely guarded, Marc and Alex have shown a rare approach. They share everything: telemetry data, racing tactics, and tire selection decisions made during the final minutes of the warm-up session. With Alex, we help each other. This morning, I saw that everyone was using soft tires. I told him, I'll use soft tires too. And it went well, said Marc with a relaxed smile, showing how natural their bond is. The results speak for themselves. For the first time this season, the two Marquez brothers stood on the podium together at Mugello, Ducati's home, and VR46's headquarters. Amidst the heated rivalry and never-ending battle of egos, this moment was a rare and touching story on the tough, pressure-filled MotoGP stage. Meanwhile, Francesco Bagnaia, the defending champion and Ducati's main hope in front of thousands of fanatical tifosi, performed below expectations. Although he showed great potential with convincing starts in both the sprint and main races, his performance slowly faded as lap after lap went by. Mental pressure and an inconsistent rhythm were his biggest enemies throughout the weekend. Instead of being the protagonist at home, Bagnaia had to accept the bitter reality of being a spectator while Marc Márquez stood on the top podium. Even more painful was that it happened at Ducati's home ground, in front of management, mechanics, and fans who expected him to shine. While Marquez shone brightly, the Ducati paddock was silent. There was no defense or explanation, only blank stares, and the increasingly heavy weight of pressure on Bagnaia's shoulders remained. Francesco Bagnaia's declining performance this weekend is believed to have been caused by unstable tire pressure. Telemetry recorded fluctuations in the rear tire pressure on his GP25 in both the sprint and main races. This caused Bagnaia's rhythm to become inconsistent, particularly after the sixth lap. Several Italian media outlets have speculated that Bagnaia feels marginalized in his own team, especially since Ducati openly provided data and support too. Marquez, Ducati is under pressure again, considering the rift that emerged during the Dovizioso Lorenzo era due to a similar situation. Marc Márquez's victory at Mugello was not just an additional trophy, but a small earthquake that shook Ducati's internal harmony. Amidst the cheers of the tifosi, the situation in the paddock was actually heating up. Marquez, initially seen as a challenger from outside, has slowly become the new center of gravity in the Red Bulloni team. Engineers, crew, and management are showing signs of a tug-of-war over interests. Several sources mention subtle but real friction between Marquez's supporters and those loyal to Francesco Bagnaia and the VR46 environment. One brings results, the other, legacy. Ducati is caught in the middle of the vortex. Marc Márquez is now leading the standings with absolute dominance. It's not just about the numbers on the leaderboard. It's also about his intimidating presence. He's not only fast but also strategically mature. He resembles Marquez in 2019, wild and deadly, but with the wisdom of a veteran champion. He's more careful when reading the race, more patient when waiting for the moment, and more unstoppable when attacking. Francesco Bagnaia is under increasing pressure, especially after failing to dominate at home. Alex Marquez is improving, but he has not yet matched the sharpness of his older brother. What about Vinales, Quartararo, and Morbidelli? They are still struggling to find their best form and are not yet a real threat. The red tide is starting to change colors. Can anyone stop Marc Márquez from winning a 9th world title? Share your thoughts in the comments below.